Hi, in this clip I'm going to go through the story starter cards and the three-word cards, okay? I'm putting them together because they both share the same idea of creating stories, plot development, developing children's confidence in creating stories, like using their characters and physical appearances. I like to put emphasis on not using the overused words like went, then. So you're trying to encourage them to use the other words like maybe crept or marched or galloped, say, instead of went. And also for the feelings vocabulary, so you don't just want happy and sad and those type of words. So you'd say for happy, you're encouraging them, okay, look in the language corner now, and I want you to use the other words you have for happy. Be cheerful, ecstatic, chirpy, jolly, whatever type of words they have. And then for sad, maybe feeling forlorn, gloomy, dismal, okay? So it's all about developing the vocabulary as you're creating these stories. So you, in the junior box, you have got 50 three-word cards. They're picture-based as well as word-based. I'll just show you some examples. Okay, so here, desert camel and nighttime. You've got party, necklace and envelope. And this is more of a snow-based one, igloo, polar bear and snowball, okay? So they'd have to, with those story starters, or not story starters, three-word cards, you want them to create a story that's going to have the three words in it. Now, it's quite the same then for the middle classes and the senior classes, but the vocabulary is it's difficult, okay? But by the time you come to the senior classes, I like to use the words that they would have used in previous years. So these new words of the day that they would have done previously crop up again. So again, it's as another excuse to practice and reinforce the new vocabulary. So some examples of them for the senior box of the three-word cards. There you go, mansion, balcony and culprit. Again, they would have done that, say, in their middle years in the tip of the tongue under the house robbery theme. Now, if they can't remember the vocabulary, again, take out the dictionaries, look it up, let's reinforce it and recap, okay? Another example there, hazard, hazard, extinguished and unstable, and here ecstatic, luscious and nourishing. So they're examples of the three-word cards. So when, just so you know, you're going to focus on three-word cards, they're going to have to create a story with the three words in it. Now, when you begin these activities, be it the story starters or the three-word cards, do as a whole class, because that way, as each child adds a sentence, like in a circle rotation throughout the classroom, each child is creating a sentence and the next child another sentence and so on. But by doing it whole class, you can pause them at various intervals to remind them about their overused vocabulary, their feelings vocabulary. Okay, let's create a character now. Describe the character, and the next person continues on describing the character. Okay, let's put in a nice phrase or nice words of the day that you would have had before. Okay, we need something now with the plot, something exciting is going to happen. And as you come towards the end, okay, we need to bring this to an end now, conclusion, okay? So that way you're helping the children to develop the story, discussing the plot and the characters, but yet encourage them at different intervals what they can put in and what they can't put in, okay? Again, you could pause and say, okay, what's our possible conclusions here? What future events might happen? So again, you're looking towards the future and what might happen and the different scenarios that they could create. So when the children have established and you've done plenty of practice, it's a whole class situation with these type of cards, then you can move to group work. So again, I might use the same card and divide my class into groups. Again, I might use my cooperative learning role cards. So you've got your recorder, you've got your reporter, your encourager, timekeeper. So this encourages then good group work while they're creating these stories. And again, you remind them, like we've done the whole class situations, don't forget your character descriptions, don't forget your overused words, your words of the day, don't forget your plot, developing the plot, okay? With the younger children, it's fine, okay, to have a short story because they might not be recording it yet. They won't have their scribe or the recorder. So something short that they can remember to stand up then and report and say the story. But certainly as the years that they go on and they're able to write down their ideas, then you encourage the reporter of that group to stand up and tell their story. So if they had got the same three-word cards and all these groups are working on the same cards, you'll end up with maybe see if you had 4 groups, 4 completely different stories with 4 different characters. It's amazing the way the stories can go different directions, and the children like to hear each other's stories. And sometimes I'm well known for bribery within the classroom, so sometimes I add that competitive element and say, okay, you're getting extra points now because you used that word of the day we just had today. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant, that was fantastic, extra points there. That character description was fantastic. Okay, so maybe they put on walrus moustache and they put on hooded eyes and maybe a toothless smile or a crooked smile. So they're using this lovely vocabulary that you have been giving them. It should all be in that language corner displayed for the children to use. All right, so I'm just going to show you some examples then of the story starters, because you can do the same type of activities with these. So with the junior classes, all the different cards, now they do cover the different types of writing. So you've got your fantasy in there, science fiction, crime, adventure, and so on. So an example here of the junior cards for your story starters. I'm going to try and read it. I'll just hold it up first. Okay. So that one there was, it was pouring rain. I looked out of my bedroom window, bored with nothing to do, when suddenly. Another one. My name is Pixie Dust. Oh, I'm trying to put it in there for you to see. My name is Pixie Dust and I'm very angry with Bob the Hobgoblin, who, another story starter from the junior box. Once there was an owl called Tom who was scared of the dark. So you can see those stories can go different directions. Now I'm just going to show you some examples then from the senior box. As I said, I like to use the vocabulary that they would have covered from the junior and the middle tip of the tongue boxes in my story starters. So there are some large words, but they should have covered them. And if they haven't, again, you can encourage them to go out the dictionary. Let's discuss the words within your group setting and incorporate them into a story that makes sense. So, for example, one of the senior story starters, the cracking of the news reports over the old radio sent silence through the room. The quaint country cottage was situated in the woods, quaint being one of their old words of the day. The impenetrable curtain of rain made it impossible to, with impenetrable being one of the words of the day. And another final example, the air was putrid with decaying, and of course putrid would have been one of the previous words of the day. It's a good reason to reinforce the old words they had, so they're continually using them and practicing them, but yet in a situation where they're developing sequential plot development and character development, and still using their good vocabulary, not using their basic words of went, happy and sad, but encourage them to use the more expansive vocabulary that you have been doing with them on a month-by-month basis. Okay, so that's just some simple ideas to get you started on 3-word cards and story starter cards. Again, I'm going to link them into the new language curriculum. Okay, and you can put it in with the element of understanding, the learning outcome of acquisition and use of vocabulary, because you are encouraging that, and also put the into the element of exploring and using with the learning outcome of number 11, which is retelling and elaborating. So developing that story, and again it could fit in with the learning outcome of description. Okay, number 14, description, prediction, and then reflection. The reflection in this case can be where the 4 groups, say, have been working on the same story starter card, and then you can reflect the different directions that it went, the different characters that they discussed, and also predict then what could have happened if something else, has given them another scenario that happened in their story. So hopefully that will get you started now on your story development with 3-word cards and story starter cards.